Barriers to communication. Communication can be blocked or disrupted in many ways. Sometimes the client doesn't hear or understand you. Sometimes the client themselves are difficult to understand. Sometimes you or the client are using difficult to understand vocabulary. Sometimes it's a use of slang or the use of meaningless cliches. Sometimes it's when you ask why too much, or sometimes it's giving too much advice. Sometimes it's when the client will only give you yes or no answers. And it's important to remember that nonverbal communication can change the message. Sometimes a client may be hard of hearing, and they may not be able to hear or understand you. Strategies for this situation are sitting close or directly in front of the client. Speak slowly and speak clearly. Make sure not to mumble. Speak in a low tone, as low as your voice can register. Speak loudly, but don't yell. Yelling increases the tone of your voice, and for older people with age-related hearing loss, they often lose the upper register of their hearing first. If your client wears hearing aids, check to make sure they're working and that they're in place. Often, clients don't clean their hearing aids as often as they should. They should be cleaned every day. If you notice that they're squealing a lot or that the client is having a difficult time adjusting the volume, the first step to take is to give them a good clean. Sometimes your client might be difficult to understand. They may have a strong accent or a physical impairment that makes verbal communication difficult. You can help by being patient and taking the time to listen. Ask the patient to repeat or rephrase what they're trying to say, and rephrase the message yourself in your own words to make sure that you have understood what they're trying to say. Sometimes you or the client might use words that the other doesn't understand. In order to avoid this, don't use medical words or jargon. Speak in simple, everyday words. And if you don't understand a word that your client has used, clarify with them. Often there is an age gap between the home health aide and the client. This can mean that some of the words you use in your everyday life might not be understood by your clients. Avoid using words and expressions that are unprofessional, may not be understood, or may be misunderstood. Clichés are phrases that are used frequently but have no real meaning. For example, the expression, "everything will be fine." Instead, listen to what your client is really saying and respond meaningfully. For example, if your client is afraid of having a bath, here are some responses. The cliché would be, "Oh, it'll be over before you know it." But the meaningful response would be, "I understand it seems scary to you. What can we do to make you more comfortable?" Asking why can often be a barrier. When your client makes a statement, asking why can make people feel defensive. For example, your client says they do not want to go for a walk today. You ask, "Well, why not?" This could come off as aggressive, and you may get an angry response. Instead, ask, "Are you too tired to take a walk, or is there something else you'd rather do?" Your client might be more willing to talk about the issue with the walk. Never offer your personal opinion or give advice to your clients. Giving medical advice is beyond your scope of practice, and it could be dangerous if you give the wrong advice. Giving advice about household or personal matters can seem as pushy or intrusive. Understand the difference between facts and opinions. For example, if you say, "I think Mr. Jones has lost weight. He looks thinner and he doesn't eat what I give him." That's an opinion. And while it may be true, you must back that up with evidence. Instead, you could say, "Mr. Jones has lost 5 pounds this month. You know this because you weigh the client monthly." If a client gives you yes or no answers, it's a very quick way to end a conversation. Try asking open-ended questions that need more than a yes or no answer. For example, if you want to know what your client wants for lunch, don't ask, "Do you want spaghetti?" Instead, try, "What would you like for lunch?" Be aware that your body language and gestures can change the message you're trying to give. Be alert to nonverbal messages from your clients and be sure to clarify them. For example, the patient that was in pain, you could say, "You say you're feeling fine, but you seem to be in pain. How can I help?" Sometimes your communication just goes wrong. If that happens, start again. If you're trying to teach your client something, ask them how they learn and how you can help them how you can teach them better. If the client is upset, simply apologize that they feel bad. You don't have to take responsibility. You're just acknowledging that you feel badly that they feel bad. And if you did something wrong, admit it and apologize. Take the time to understand the patient's condition so you can be empathetic to their challenges.